welcome to Iowa.
It's gorgeous here.
Have you been here before? Have you been to Iowa before?
No.
No, your first time.
Only saw it through Kevin Costner's eyes.
Yes.
I love that line. Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. And now I know why.
But now it's all famous for CC, right?
Right.
Sure.
So how have these fine folks been treating you all weekend here?
Fabulously well.
Yeah.
We've been having a wonderful time. I love the hotel. I love the food at the
food.
at the con.
So when you do conventions, is it airport, hotel, convention, hotel, airport, or do you get a chance to ever see any local sites or go out to eat at night?
Well, my husband goes with me, and we try to make an extra day just to be tourists.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and we came in a little early, and we went out to a really nice dinner, and we're going to go out tonight. I'm going to wait to go home tomorrow, and we're loving it. You guys are so friendly here. I thought Las Vegas was friendly. Las Vegas isn't friendly like you guys are.
This is mostly what I see of any town that I go to. When I'm working, so you know, and actually, it's a good way to see a town because people are different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, coming to conventions like this, and you know, when you're both of you come from a theater background, right?
Yes.
So you get that instant feedback.
Oh yeah.
Right. But when you are doing a cartoon, a voiceover, even a live action movie, the feedback takes a while to get to you. So when you get to come here and see people's eyes, like the whites of their eyes, hear their stories, what is that like to hear their stories generation to generation, especially with a movie like Beauty and the Beast?
Well, that's exactly the thing. This is a very unusual situation because you have people's reaction. You'll see 3 generations come.
Actually, 4 now for
well,
our movie.
4,
yeah.
but at one time at the table,
Right.
there'll be 3 or 4 generations of people, and each one has had its own special experience with these things that we did. Which was about 5 or 10 years ago, wasn't it? And to see what effect it has and how that's changed and how it stayed the same.
Right.
I think that's the fun part
thing.
of doing these things. I want to hear the stories. I want to connect with them and hear, because that's I'm an old lady now, and I could say it. I enjoy that stuff. I'm like semi-retired, even though I'm busier than ever now that I'm semi-retired with painting and doing these kind of things. But I think that's the whole fun part of it, and how it affected them, and how the character of the movie changed their lives. And it's done that for a lot of people.
Or especially Belle. You know, and I get to talk to Jody and get to hear her stories. But Belle, I am in Orlando. I live in Orlando, so I pretty much live at Walt Disney World. But I get to take I have a 4-year-old, and he absolutely, and this is not an exaggeration because I'm on stage with you. He loves Belle. Belle is his favorite Disney character.
He's very smart, then.
Do
you know, this is true. I was told by Disney Publicity like 5 years ago that they had done a survey, and Belle had the most men and boys fans of any of the princesses. I said, "You're kidding me. That's not true." They said, "As of right now, Belle is #1 with the men." I thought that was kind of nice. Men like smart women.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you get people that are my age that are coming to you and be like, "Belle was my first crush"?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's so wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I got to work with the great Kobe Bryant before he passed. And he was trying to produce films for troubled young people to help them work through their anger and translate it into sports and all that. We did like 3 specials together, and one was ESPN. But we talk basketball all the time because you know me, I'm a diehard NBA fan. But his wife told me, it was like 3 weeks after I'd worked with Kobe, and she said, "I have to tell you, Belle was Kobe's childhood crush." And I was like, "Oh my God, that is so cool. Kobe Bryant likes Belle." It was like, but no, it happens a lot, and I think it's fantastic.
And Richard, I mean, Gaston
Gaston's feelings are a little hurt at the moment.
I was going to say, no, Gaston still has a ton of female. Do you find that Gaston still, despite maybe some personal issues with the way he talks to ladies? Do you feel
Maybe
that
a couple fewer than I thought. No,
all right. No, you were the
absolutely.
funniest villain. You win that award, the funniest villain.
She uses that word like it's just, like it's okay. A villain. My heart
You
is
are
broke.
a villain. I hate to tell you, man.
I know. I've heard that.
But
too.
do you find
Own it.
that Gaston still has fans to this day?
Oh, he does. He's unlike, I think he's unlike any other villain that you've seen in Disney or really kind of anywhere else. And so many different people can identify with him. Many in every different way that you can imagine. Some ways are wonderful and some are not. But everybody reacts to Gaston, and that's a great pleasure. That's fun to see. It's nice to realize that that's something that you still elicit.
Yes.
Well, it's hard to hate Gaston when he comes off so funny in certain things. I mean, that's what Howard Ashman wanted.
Yeah, he gets to be
Yeah,
funny.
he gets to be really
He gets to
funny.
be charming. And why, he's almost as beautiful as me. So,
You had no problems playing that role.
And we technically never saw Gaston dead.
because he never died in the
Oh,
movie.
please.
Did you think he did?
That's his theory. He's been working with this. I'm not buying it. Are you buying it? I know. All right, you want a sequel. I get it.
Would you guys like to see a sequel with Gaston?
Now we're talking. See, I told you.
The snow
Iowa.
blocked his fall, and he woke up and ran off. Well, you could do that.
I can think of lots of
You
ways.
could pitch that to Disney
I
this
could
week.
make up lots of ways.
Coming soon to Disney
A
Plus.
free fall, yes, exactly.
There's a sorceress involved here somewhere, isn't there?
There is a
Yeah,
sorceress.
we
Yes,
could maybe
there's-
work something out.
Yep.
It's Disney magic. Now, Paige, I've got to see you at Disney's Festival of the Arts a couple years ago. How did you get involved in working with Disney Fine Arts and doing your own artwork?
Well, I've always painted since I was little, and when I went to New York, I was 17, and I would paint my watercolors and sell them on the streets to help pay my rent. And I would copy famous artists like Turner and Sargent, but I also did some famous people like Judy Garland, and I did some of the Disney characters as well. And I've always just done that. And so when Beauty and the Beast came out, people kept saying, "Would you paint me a Belle? Paint me this?" So for friends, I did it. And then Rodell, who is one of the most popular Disney fine artists, was doing a Beauty and the Beast night with his Beauty and the Beast paintings. And he said, "Paige, why don't you bring one of yours? Let's just see what happens." And I said, "You really?" And he said, "Yeah." So I brought my Belle by Belle, which is her walking down the street singing Little Town, and it sold immediately. And two other people tried to outbid them and all of that. And Disney Fine Art had the president there that night, and that night he asked me to sign with them. So that was really cool. And Michael and I packed up some of my paintings, and we live in Vegas, drove to LA to the studio the first time, and we walked inside that animation. I mean, Toby Bluth's, all these amazing. I literally said, "Mike, let's get out of here before they see us. I can't do this. My stuff isn't good enough." And anyway, I stayed and I did it, and it's been wonderful. It's been like 15 years now.
That's amazing. I love it. I love that being able to go and see your work at the parks now. Like you can go and see your work now and purchase some of your pieces. Richard, when are we going to see some of your paintings?
I'm still waiting to see some of my paintings.
I owe him one, a big time.
She promised.
I do. But Jody got her paintings. I did the steel book of Ariel and Little Mermaid, and Ray has those on the wall for Jody, so she was happy about that.
You do not want to see anything, any painting that I come across.
Richard,
no.
do you have any hidden talents or anything like that? Do you play instruments?
I was a
Magic?
cellist as a
cellist?
kid, and I played guitar and played in band and did all those things that people do. But I'm a singer and I'm an actor, and that keeps me very busy.
And years before that, he was a champion in swimming at age 12. You had a record?
No one swims like Gaston.
It's true. I had a national record when I was 12.
12 years old
And
swimming.
it's been downhill ever since.
have the swimmer's build, though, don't you? Yes.
Now, you mentioned singing, and obviously theater plays a big role in both of your backgrounds.
Well, that's how we met. We met
Oh, yeah.
on stage.
And right, you were no strangers to each other. You
No.
know, when
When we were cast,
right?
yeah.
So when you were cast, was there an audition process, or were you sought out because you were involved in theater?
They auditioned all Broadway people in New York. I mean, that's what Howard and Alan
That was
wanted.
part of the concept.
Yeah, it is, for sure. It's like a Broadway show.
Well, that's what he said. Howard said that, you know, these are like movie musicals. That's how he conceived of Disney animated films. And so he said, so what we need are people who can sing and act. And where do you find them? We find them on Broadway. So that's where they tried to focus their auditions. Although I have to say, it wasn't just New York.
It was L.A. also.
It was all over the country.
It was.
It was a blind audition. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. No.
Yes, they didn't look at you. So it was just your voice.
You went
Oh,
into
I
a
mean, that
room
makes sense.
that had, back in those days, they were the reel-to-reel
Do you remember what
tape
those are?
recorders. And you would go in, and there was a casting director who would start the thing, you would sing your thing, you would read the thing, and he would turn it off, and at the end of the day, they sent them all to Disney.
So
and
they didn't know
that's how
what we
they
looked like.
cast. They didn't know
Yeah.
who was who. They cast by.
I mean, we went to
Like a number.
Yeah, they
All right,
saw us in
listen to the
person,
number.
but vocally they had down to like 700 or whatever, down to like 75 or whatever for each role, I think, and then it went down to 15 and 20. And but those last few auditions, yes, they did see us. But when we were auditioning with the directors and everything, they would always close their eyes when we were doing.
Well,
the
because
songs.
that's all they
Yeah.
were worried about was the
But
sound.
then once we
With
were
the sound, right.
cast, what's so smart is they used the actor and their mannerisms and their looks to influence the artist of how they draw them. I mean, I have to say, Belle is not just Paige. I mean, it's Mark Henn, it's James Baxter, it's Howard Ashman. I mean, Howard was Belle in so many ways. So it's a collaborative effort. But
And then-
it was Broadway people. I had 7 auditions all in all.
Right, and then obviously it became a Broadway show, huge
Yes.
Broadway show, one of the biggest of all time.
I have a story about that.
Ooh.
Disney did not want to do, Michael Eisner did not want it to be a Broadway show. And Jeffrey Katzenberg was pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So Jeffrey came up with a really brilliant idea to throw Michael Eisner a lavish birthday party at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. And he asked Richard and I to do a mini version of, in tuxedo and gown and the whole bit, with the full orchestra and a chorus. We did like a mini version of it, and the audience went crazy that night. And that was the night Michael Eisner said, okay, you can do your Broadway show.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, it's great. A lot of people don't know
Right,
that.
like kind of like, I don't want to say trick, but kind of like convince him.
He convinced him
that
by
it's that it could
seeing,
be
seeing how they would react to it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And Kathy Lee was like giving me a hard time because she auditioned for Belle. And she and Regis were the host to like host it that night and did comedy before it. She said, "Oh man, I lost to you." It was funny. She's actually really sweet, but she did give me a hard time.
I mean,
It was great.
it's always good to see that, and make light of those who got the role. So again, we do have a microphone right there. If you feel like, if you want to ask a question, feel free to start lining up. And while they do, speaking of Broadway, one thing that's really popular right now is the adaptation of films or in popular culture. The Outsiders is on Broadway right now. Of course, Back to the Future, Mean Girls. Do you have favorite movies, favorite entities that you would like to see get a Broadway adaptation, like a musical
that's
adaptation?
hard. Oh, let me think about that. That's a tough question. Do you, Richard?
It's funny. I tend not to think in those terms because I think so much of what makes a piece of art or a piece of theater or a movie work is the medium itself. People ask questions about our animated film as compared to the live action version. And I think they are, I mean, some people would say they're the same show, right? Except that they're not.
They're not totally
in
different.
In my opinion, they're very much different, and I think it's the medium itself that makes them different. So when you ask me about movies, I like to think about movies, and when you ask me about Broadway shows, I like to think about Broadway shows. I think it takes a very creative mind to put those two together.
Yeah, I agree. Ted Lasso is a musical would be
Oh,
fun.
Ted Lasso, the musical.
I am totally, it's my favorite show of all time.
I'm in
I
on
laugh
that.
so hard whenever I'm like wanting to get a laugh, I just put it back on. Roy Kent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, if there was
my
a whole
God.
Roy Kent song.
Oh yeah, he's doing a movie now. He's been doing a rom-com with Jennifer Lopez.
Oh.
I heard, yeah. That'll be fun.
I'd never thought of a Ted Lasso musical, but now that's all I'm going to think about for the rest of the day. Hello, what's your name?
It is.
Oh, sorry. Hi, my name is Wesley, and first of all, Paige, it's an honor to meet you. I've been a fan of the Beauty and the Beast movie ever since I was a kid. It's one of my
thank
favorites.
you.
Yes. My question is for both of you. In all the times that you've gone to a convention, what would you say is probably one of your most memorable interactions with a fan?
Wow. That's
The
hard.
reason that's so hard is that each one is special.
It is. They all are special. Well, I've heard the stories many times, and it always affects me a lot when someone comes up and said they've, like today it happened, shared the movie with a parent, and the parent is no longer with us. And then they tell me how that evolved and how they went to see the film together and how the character affected them. And this one person I saw today said that she felt like a total outsider as a little child, and that it was Belle that gave her the encouragement to read and want to, it was okay to be different, And when I never get tired of hearing that, because that's what I want people to get from the character of Belle. But hearing the relationships between children and their parents with this film, all of them are special stories. I do have one, as in the concert version, when it was Pocahontas in the park, and we were singing at the premiere that night, and with the orchestra and everything. There were 100,000 people in the audience, and I'm known for stage fright, but I went out to sing Little Town, It's a Quiet Village, and I was like panicking. I was like, I could sing it fine, but I was in my heart, my stomach was rolling, and this little girl ran out of the crowd up to the front of the stage and went, Belle! And was waving at me. At that moment, I just kind of went, okay, this is great. I'm singing to her, and the nerves went away. That was special. But things like that happen, spontaneously when we do events.
I can't tell you how many people come, and it's not just her role. Believe it or not, some
Exactly.
people say it about my role, which
course they do.
surprises me. No, they say that this show has changed their lives. Now, that's a big statement for an animated film. And then they go on and tell you how or why. And it's really breathtaking as an actor who did this animated film all that time ago to hear that your work has changed people's lives. Yesterday, a woman came up and said, I'm a librarian, and she's why.
Yeah.
Stories like that
Yeah.
but it's not unique. It's not even unusual. This really had a big effect on people. And people say Gaston, well, you can imagine. No, but I mean, they really do.
He
They
gets some
say
very interesting comments.
but some of them are very sincere. People say, I
they
see
are.
him, and I see myself in him, and I see things I like about myself in him, and I see things that I need to change in him. And I think,
It's true.
I'll be darned. I mean, it's
Yeah.
surprising to me, and it's very, very, very satisfying
That's good. That's
to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Abby. I first off wanted to say that they call it Iowa nice. That's actually how it's referred to here.
Really?
Want to
I
give
get
Iowa
it. I
a
get
try?
it totally.
Yeah, they call it Iowa nice.
Iowa nice.
I love the music, the soundtrack. It's so beautiful. I watched the Howard Ashman film on Disney Plus, and coincidentally, some of the music was recorded the day I was born, June 8th, 1990. My question is, do you have any fond stories or memories of Howard Ashman? Did you get to
Do you have 2 hours? I'm
Yeah.
serious. There are so many stories.
That
Do you have
movie
a
is
favorite?
Howard.
It is Howard.
It's
And you know,
beautiful.
and when I said Belle is Howard too, Howard did help me with the character of Belle because there's a big part of Howard that is that character. Mainly the geek genius part of Belle, you know, the bookworm and all of that.
One of the first things that I knew of Howard when I first met him with regard to this piece was him doing these numbers in his voice.
Yeah,
sang
he recorded
Belle,
them.
He sang Gaston.
Yeah.
He said, you know, and he is being Gaston, and you see each of these
He
characters
and
in
Alan
him.
did it together.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was what a day. But that part of Howard that I saw that day will never leave me.
I think what's most important, though, to know that the gift that he gave us was so important. I mean, Disney thought animation was dead. It was done. Howard and Alan approached them with Little Mermaid, and Disney didn't want anything to do with them. And they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And Howard said, I will co-produce it. I'll put my own money in it. And convinced them to do it. And had that not happened, who knows if animation would have resurged again. And think of all the movies that have come out in the last 34 years. So he really is the big part of that, you know, resurgence of this glorious art form. But the thing that's also really cool is that with Beauty and the Beast, I can't say about the other films, from the day one, the concept of the film you saw in the theaters was the concept of Howard Ashman. And at times we'd stray from it, and they let the artists stray from it, and the directors and the writers and do what they want. I remember there's a whole thing about the Beast that I would not talk about because it was really weird. But Howard said, you can't have the Beast do this or say this. And Linda Wolverton fought him on it, but then she finally thanked him because she realized he was right. All of it came back. So in the final product, we followed him. If you go along for the ride with Howard Ashman, it's a heck of a ride. I mean, true genius, one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met in my life. So I give that credit to Howard, and credit to all of us that we followed his vision.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
So brilliantly.
Thank you.
Hello, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Gina. So
Hi,
this
Gina.
is going to be an interesting question. For Richard, what was your initial reaction to some of the Gaston memes that have showed up on the internet over the years?
There are memes?
No one memes like Gaston.
Well, first of all, it's flattering. It's very flattering that people have identified with that character so much. It's wonderful to see them make fun of him. It's wonderful to see them love him. It's wonderful to hear people argue, is he a villain or isn't he?
And that little girl
A
in the park.
misunderstood hero. Oh, yeah.
Misunderstood hero. That's how he sees himself. I mean, like, he has to get a grip, man. It's like,
But yeah, that's how he kind of warmed up to me.
You can't play a villain. Nobody thinks that he's a villain. Everybody thinks that he's the hero of his own story.
all right, I will
And
give you that credit, and that's why it's so darn
There
good.
you go. And he just does
Method
it
acting?
better than anybody else. That's all. Anyway,
I
that's
love
what
this
I think of those
man.
memes.
I love this
I'm
man.
very flattered, and I think they're fabulous.
You guys do so wonderful jobs.
Thank you.
so much.
Hello, what's your name?
My name's Destiny,
Hi,
and
Bethany.
first I wanted to say Beauty and the Beast has always been my favorite Disney princess movie because my parents always compared me to Belle in a lot of ways, and it helped me to accept my kind of awkward homeschooled self for who I was and deal with that. And it just really meant a lot to me growing up.
Oh, thank
Um,
you. I appreciate that. And it's really okay to be different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of wonderful, actually.
It is, yeah. My question was, for someone who's starting out voice acting and is about to start auditioning, has all the equipment already, and is just getting ready to start out, what do you think the best piece of advice you could give to someone like that would be?
Well, you know, for us, we're not really voice actors. This is just kind of the odd part of it. With our film, they just went with Broadway actors. That's what we did. Voice acting is another genre, like these people at this convention. It is serious business, and from what I've learned by talking with them, and because that's what they do. I know just a little bit of voiceover work I did just for fun one time. I had to have a reel, and I had to have all these different voices that I had to be under 3 minutes, and you have it on a CD, and the agents listen to them. And I know Disney Fine Art, not Disney Fine Art, Disney character voices, they do listen to CDs when you send them. It may take them a while, but I've told a couple people from the conventions to send them in that felt strongly about it, and one gal told me she got a couple of callbacks and might be doing some work with Disney. So it does happen. But for voice acting, it's another genre, and you do have to get yourself out there and have your stuff on some sort of CD that they can listen to.
And don't be discouraged, because there is no easy way for anybody. So, get together your best tape and send it around. And if you get reactions, listen to them, and if you don't, send them around again. And, don't give up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Paige, earlier you mentioned Jodie Benson, voice of Ariel. Are there other voices of the princesses that you are friends with or do cons with or keep in touch with?
Do you know any of them?
We kind of have a princess circle where we text each other all the time, especially Jodie, Linda Larkin, and myself. That's like a every other day checking in with the three sisters, This is what we call ourselves. But, now Susan Egan, who is the Broadway Belle, I've become close with Susan and Irene Bedard, and now Judy Kuhn is now doing some of these with us. I was the first one to do these with Lance, our agent. I was the first actor he had, and now he's got, I think, almost all the princesses now. So yeah, it's fun. When we did Wreck-It Ralph, I got to meet the other women, and Ming Na and we had a blast at D23. I got to know her this last couple weeks. And I was totally fangirling. Well, I don't know what to go. That's Kristen Bell. Mandy fangirled her, and I kind of was in awe of them. I don't really know them, but they're also younger, different generation. But the old ladies, the old girls, me and Jodie, I'm the oldest, and Linda, we constantly are on the phone with each other. So it's fun.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, what's your name?
I'm Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I was wondering how much involvement, if any, you had with the live-action remake, or if at least you had met your live-action counterparts, Emma Watson, Luke Evans, if they asked you anything about the characters or, had some sort of conversation about how they should portray them.
Sure. I think that Luke was intimidated, don't you? Yeah. So, and who could blame him? But yeah. No, honestly, I think Paige did a little more than I did. But other than an invitation to the premiere and to talk with them, a little bit backstage and around that night, I had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Well, Don Hahn and I are close, and I was talking with him, sending messages to Emma through him, and he would send them back through him to me, and she was just terrified to sing. And I asked Don, I said, she doesn't want to sing, why don't you get someone else? He said that, no, Paige, we can get it out of her. We can get that performance out of her. And so she really worked hard at it, and I just told her to believe in herself and use her brilliant acting when she sings, and that's what singing is anyway, it's acting. And she did, and I love what she did with it. And when I met her for the first premiere in LA, literally she was like where you are and where I am, and I'll never forget it. She's across the room, Paige! And she ran over to me and gave me the biggest hug, and I was like in tears. And she said, come on, she took me by the hand and all these people, we have to have a group photo, and she put me part of the photo of the cast, and it was like so amazing. And Dan Stevens, I was like ready to faint. I was a huge fan. So it was really cool. So I didn't really, but she said, thank you for the messages and the encouragement. Don told me what you said. And so it was really kind of like that. And I just told her how wonderful she was, and she was. We were a lot alike in some ways and very different in others. The biggest change of the live action was making the Beast an educated man, because that made the whole thing much deeper, darker, scarier. The Beast was really threatening. Robbie, there was always, with the threatening part of Robbie, there was always a vulnerable, goofy kid in there. But I thought it worked for the live action, and I thought it was really well done. Did you love the live action too?
Oh yeah, and I really enjoyed Alan Menken's new songs, especially.
Oh yeah, the new songs were great.
I think one of my favorite ones that I absolutely love is the one that Beast sings as Belle is leaving.
Oh yeah, it was great. Evermore, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
I loved that song. Also, since you mentioned Don Hahn, I believe he's from Iowa as well, so I don't know if you knew that or not. But,
I just got to spend a bunch of time with him. We did the Disney Vacation Club cruise together over in Barcelona in Europe, and then D23, he was part of that. It was really cool.
One of my classmates' moms went to elementary school with him, so she posted about it when he won an Oscar for the first time. So
I wonder if he was
really
the
cool.
geek genius in elementary school.
She said he was always drawing and talked about how he would love to work for Disney one day. So
there you go.
Yeah,
He's an amazing
glad
artist.
it happened. So
check out his
love to
paintings,
meet him
you guys.
sometime.
Don still is doing beautiful paintings. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's
All right,
cool.
well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have about a little bit more than 10 minutes left, so we're going to try to get through all of these questions. Hello, what's your name?
Okay. Hi, my name is Hope, and ironically enough, they're actually doing a production of Beauty and the Beast over at the Des Moines Playhouse over here.
Christmas production, I heard.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They just finished auditions for it, so everyone's just waiting for the cast list to be posted. My question.
Oh, yeah. Play her grandmother.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. My question is, what was it like coming back for the Once Upon a Studio short for the anniversary?
It was just a pleasure to be a part of it.
Wasn't it fun?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, there was virtually no pressure, and it's such a big club to be a part of, and so it's nice to be reminded that that people remember that you're a part of that club, and to be a part of it. I was thrilled.
Well, it was a little different for me because I hadn't been singing for a really long time. And I just got a call and said, Paige, you're singing again. I said, oh, I am. They said, yes, you're going to sing a little bit of, When You Wish Upon a Star, the 100th anniversary. And I was like, I got off the phone and I was sweating. I was in a panic because I'd been going through this really rough time with stage fright. Had it my whole life. And I finally just gave up singing for a while. Then I realized when it was 2 weeks away, I had been, and I'm not gonna hide this. People say, why do you tell people this? Because it's a good thing to tell people. I was in denial about my hearing. I thought for sure my hearing was perfect, and every time I'd sing, I'd have issues, and I just looked at my husband and I said, it's time. Hearing aids, it's time. I can't go into the studio for Disney and not have them. And it literally changed my life, putting them on. And anybody in your life that's in denial, that are afraid, that makes me old or whatever, where young people have hearing loss too, just tell them it will change their life. You're missing so much when you're having trouble hearing.
You can't even see them anymore.
But you can't even, you feel like you're almost depressed because you feel like you're not hearing everything, you don't know what's going on. So that consequently was a big, big day for me, and they knew it. They knew I did it, and it was kind of the beginning of me getting back to singing again, which was my love of my life. Was my whole life I've loved to sing. So I'm working on it, and he's helping me, encourage me.
Well, you both did an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And this whole time I just thought I was out of tune. Maybe I just need to... Hello, what's your name?
My name is Melody. I've saved this question since Animate Raleigh, which was a panel I was meaning to go to. I had to leave early. Film played a big role in my childhood. I love it very much. Belle was my favorite princess, and Gaston was my favorite anti-villain of the entire film. I loved that guy. So what's the fun part about revisiting your roles periodically since Disney occasionally, invites you back?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, from my point of view, it's being reminded just how deeply people were affected by this. We knew when we did it that it was something special. It was very special to us, but we said, you know, this is some good stuff here. We had known each other for quite a while before we did this.
We've been to Egypt together. That's another.
Oh, well, that's a whole other story.
Next time.
Houston Grand Opera. Go ahead, I'll tell you later.
But to be reminded of that and to hear it again, you know, as years go by, you know, if you haven't listened to it for a while, it's nice to be reminded. And this is one reason that I get reminded regularly, and it is such a pleasure. I laugh, I joke, we make fun of one another, but it really is wonderful. I mean, sincerely wonderful to be a part of something that has changed people's lives like this, and that people love like this, and that they laugh at like this. And when they're like that when they're this big, and they're like that when they're even my age. So yeah, it's just a joy for me.
I feel the same way. And doing these, you guys make me happy. You know, you say I'm making you happy to meet you. You guys make me happy. I love meeting you and hearing you and getting to give you a hug and all of that and hearing your stories. It's also humbling, you know. I am so blessed to have had this chance.
You started this out saying that we were on stage and you get a direct feedback when you're doing a live performance, and that you don't get that, you know, when it's up on the screen. Well, that's what this is.
That's what this is. Absolutely.
As a stage performer, you thrive on the audience's energy, good or bad or whatever, you know. But that's an important part of what you do, and that's what we get when we do these things.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It really is for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello. My name's Megan. Thank you both once again for an amazing childhood movie. I love Beauty and the Beast. I have two quick questions. What was your favorite theater production you've ever been in? And if Belle and Gaston were turned into inanimate objects, what would they be?
Oh, that's hilarious. Belle would be a book. No question. A really good book.
Of course.
Gaston might be an anvil. Are they laughing with me or at me?
She's talking about objects, not living things.
An anvil?
No, yeah, that's true. Anvil. Okay.
Right. And what was your favorite theatrical production?
That's really hard because
it's easy. It's the Showboat that we did together in Egypt.
Showboat was my first Broadway show, my first leading role, and Donald O'Connor, and oh my God, and then Richard and I, they took the whole production of Houston Grand Opera to Egypt. We had such a blast.
We did.
It's a whole nother story, but it's a fun story. We'll tell you about it when you come to the table. But yeah, it's Showboat.
Thank you so much.
It is Showboat. It really
I took
is.
that away from you.
I know, but it's true.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Amanda, and my question is, when you first got to see like the production of Beauty and the Beast, and you got to see the library, how did that, like, for me, that's a huge thing.
I remember seeing the drawing the first time. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I saw the drawing of what it was going to be, and I was literally got goosebumps looking at it. I was stunned. Not only at the fact that I love the libraries and I love the books and all of that as Paige as well, but Paige as an artist was in awe of how they drew it. The artists were so brilliant. I mean, it was just magnificent. I don't think there's ever been a library in any other animation that could ever compare to that one. Yeah, it gave me goosebumps and I got choked up, for sure.
The first time we ever saw the film
full thing, though,
presented was in New York. It was presented to the
Film Festival,
the
Lincoln
Film Festival,
Center.
and there were some bits of the line drawings that were still in it that hadn't been finished, you know, to give people an idea of.
And some was
of
fully
the process.
animated. It was a work in progress.
And we got to see the ballroom as it, you know, revolved, and we got to see the library, and we got to see the woods and the wolves, and the first time. Now, we had seen renderings of all of these things, you know, as we went along, so of course we had We knew what it was going to be. No, we didn't. It
Not the
was
finish, though.
gorgeous,
No.
and to see it, particularly in that version, which still exists. I think
Yes, it
they
does.
they sold it in one of the
Yeah.
one of the. Anyway, to see it in that way, and to see it from the line drawings and the storyboards and all the different versions. You know, Gaston didn't always look like this. He underwent a number of transformations.
He did.
Oh yeah.
He looks
yeah.
more like
the,
you
The,
once
the
they
little
finished it.
mustache that he had at one time. Well,
Yeah.
we'll go into that another time. But you know, all of those changes, and to actually see them the first time was breathtaking. Again,
It really
we knew
was.
this was going to be
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
We had no idea how good and how very special it was. I had a 6-year-old daughter that night at that presentation, and to see it through her eyes and my eyes, it again, we talk about life-changing.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Zora.
Hey, Zora.
So I'm a military brat, and I was around when Beauty and the Beast was first released in theaters. And moving around so much, the theaters bought the reels, you know, back then for the military theaters. So I have a love-hate relationship with Beauty and the Beast because I have seen it. We watched it for 15 years in theaters every month growing up, no matter where I lived. And we owned it at home, and it was my mom's favorite. So, of course, we saw it a lot.
Why are you here? You
I
poor
actually
thing.
prefer, my friend wanted to come. I
she's
actually
purging.
prefer the Christmas special because it's dark and sinister, and I like that. I like that about Beauty and the Beast, too. I actually thought the Beast was kind of a pansy growing up. I understand him now and can relate, but
Yeah.
I have this memory when we first saw Beauty and the Beast, and I was, my mom, she's an artist, and I was a child model, and I was at that age where she didn't want me to be vain. And I remember when we saw Beauty and the Beast, what she said when we got out of the theater was that anyone who could bring inner beauty alive in the voice, and whoever designed Belle, they understood inner beauty and how to bring it into life in a way that touched other people and let them understand that they had that same light and kindness inside themselves, had a very pure and beautiful heart. So that is why Belle was my mom's favorite. So I wanted to share that with you because you mattered to my mom.
Thank you so much.
And she used Belle as a great example for a lot of life lessons growing up. And also because of Belle, I am a very avid reader.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So
That's so wonderful.
But I just wanted to share that story with you.
That means the world to me. I'm very humbled, and thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
So if you thought Beast was a pansy, would you say you were on Team Gaston?
I thought Gaston was a chauvinistic pig, and I understood that.
All right, cut the mic, cut the mic.
But he had.
She's clearly working through something. Give her space. Give her space.
He got what he deserved, so actually we were kind of cheering in the movie. But he had one redeeming quality, which puts him high on our like list.
What is it?
Me and my brother, we both love music, and Gaston could sing. I mean, we probably learned his song before we learned anyone else's.
And he still sounds the same.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just
I mean,
mind-boggling
we
to
actually
me.
sing that one all the time.
Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you so much.
That's cool.
All right, so if we can make these last two really quick, we're actually out of time. So,
I'm Elizabeth.
hi, Elizabeth.
Obviously, growing up, Belle was a favorite, being a huge bookworm, and I was like, yes, a princess I relate to. My question is, so Jodie's daughter recently was Ariel on stage.
Yes, Delaney, yes.
So obviously a huge proud mom moment for her to see a character that she brought to life also be recreated by her own daughter. Do you kind of have like a proud mom moment when you see some of the Belles, like either on the Broadway productions or maybe on stage at like the Disney parks?
I've seen the Beauty and the Beast.
I've had several. My husband actually played the Beast opposite Susan Egan in California, and that was a surreal moment. You know, Susan, when I first met her, I just felt like she was this younger version of me. I mean, she played the role so similarly. She sees Belle like I did, and we. You know, it just kind of it was odd. She was like a little me, and it was really fun to get together with her again. But yes, I've seen a few different Belles and make it into their own. A girlfriend of mine in Las Vegas did the Las Vegas production, and I actually ended up doing the voiceover at the beginning of it and stuff. Seeing my girlfriend play my part was really fun. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hello.
Hello. My name is Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe. When I first saw Beauty and the Beast in the theater, you know, we had Little Mermaid. That was a nice bubbly piece. I saw Beauty and the Beast, and it was immediately walking out of the theater. This deserves an Oscar nomination.
And it got one.
And it got one. And I wish it would have, gone all the way. But my question was, did Howard actually at the time have a piece of music for the Beast? Other than that little snippet that we got, other than, because the musical had, the movie had Evermore, and If I Can't Love Her for the Broadway, was there?
He definitely didn't have Evermore, but I think there were other things that he had worked on, and then because of the time frame, I didn't get my I Want song more than that little reprise, and he didn't get more, because at that time it was a formula. It had to be 90 minutes long. Had that been 20 years later, they wouldn't care if it was longer, and there would have been that song. But yes, from what Alan told me, they did have a couple things that they were working on. Not finished products, but yeah. And Tim Rice, of course, I'm sure, looked at Howard's work and had added his own brilliant lyrics to it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you all for hanging out with us.
Thank you, guys.